This is Mr. Optimized.
Bienvenidos de nuevo, optimizadores. Let's begin by getting you up and running with n8n itself. If you've never run n8n before, you have three main options for how you want to go about doing so. The first and the most straightforward way is to go to the n8n website itself and to just pay for hosting directly from them. They do offer that. It's very simple and easy. That's the biggest benefit. It's also, however, probably the most expensive option. It's $20 a month, and that's if you pay annually. And it is not necessarily going to include full functionality. They'll charge you for additional features as you continue to advance your education in n8n. The next option would be to self-host locally on your own machine. That's where you download the n8n software itself, which is open source and completely free to download. And then you use your local laptop or your computer in order to host it. The upside of that is it's completely free to not only download the software, but also to run n8n. You can do automations like that. The problem is if your machine is down overnight, for example, because you turn your computer off overnight, and you want to run automations, you're not going to be able to do those automations while it's down. So you won't be able to do hour-by-hour automations or any kind of other automated drawing or calling of information like that. Okay, and then there's the option that all the cool kids use. This is called a VPS. This is Hostinger, what you're looking at right now. VPS stands for Virtual Private Server. Essentially, you're going to have a 100% of the time online server, just like you would with n8n. The benefit, though, is that, first of all, it's way more affordable. If you look at the pricing, I personally use KVM2. Probably most of the people watching this video can get away with either KVM1 or KVM2. It's completely up to you. But not only is it more affordable, you also are going to get full functionality right away. So there's not going to be any of these limitations and tiered pricing like you have with n8n. You have 100% functionality. You can run as many workflows as you want, and there's no limits on the amount of executions that you do. So I personally recommend VPS. If you use the link in the description, you should land on a page something like this, and then you can pick whatever plan you want to do. In order to get the most savings, I recommend doing at least a year. I personally did 2 years because it's only an additional like 30%. And then I'm still waiting to hear back from them, but I'm hoping to get an affiliate relationship with Hostinger. I reached out to them. I still haven't heard back, but if by the time this video posts, I've gotten that, I'll make sure to leave a link in a code in the description that you can use for a discount. If you don't see it there, then research another YouTuber and they'll have a coupon code in there. It won't support my channel, unfortunately, but I'll get there. You just make sure to get a coupon code in here because you can save an additional like 10%. Okay, once you're inside your VPS, you might have to do some kind of an activation. I've already done it on mine, but it's pretty quick and easy. You just click a couple of buttons, make sure to activate n8n, and then once you do that, you're going to come down to the bottom, find VPS and your self-hosted server, go to manage, and then click on manage app, and that will open n8n for you. So let's begin. I want to first show you what the build looks like, both inside n8n and what we're building. This is Airtable. If you're not familiar with Airtable, it's a database app. It's similar to Notion kind of, but it's really specializes in just databases. So you will need an Airtable account. It's completely free though. And what we're going to be building is a form to Airtable automation. So essentially someone will be able to access our web form, and they can access that from anywhere, by the way. So you can use this production URL. The production URL is the one that you use once the automation is ready, and you can make it live. Right now it's not live because we're still in testing mode, but you can do that, and then you can put that anywhere on the web that you want, including like your own website, for example. I guess I needed to activate the workflow in order for this to work. But anyway, you can put it anywhere you want, and then they'll be able to type in their name and their email. This is just an example of what you could do. You can put any fields you want, but then once they fill it out and they submit, it'll put it over here. So let me give you an example. If I put in Bob at Gmail. Click enter, and boom, it did not work. Oh wait, okay, yes it did. Yes, it worked. It worked. It just took a second. Okay, I freaked out. I thought I made a mistake. But no, okay, so that's what we're building. Let's get started on building it. From your n8n dashboard, come up here to the Create Workflow button. And we're gonna begin by creating what's called a trigger. Every single workflow that you build in n8n will always begin with at least one trigger. The trigger that we're using in this workflow is an on-form submission. So someone fills out a form and they submit it, that executes the workflow. But you have a lot of other options that you can learn about over time. So we're gonna choose on-form submission, and then we just fill out some of what we want our form to look like. So in this case, you can put a description if you want. Form elements are like the questions of the form. Most of this hopefully is pretty intuitive. The field name and the placeholder are the things that are being asked for, the pieces of information that you're asking on the form itself. And then the element type is kind of like data type. If you're familiar with data type in either Airtable or Notion, there's different kinds of things that they can put in. So text is fine for the name, but for email, we actually have an email option. You can also get drop down files. You can put all kinds of different things in here if you want. I'm also gonna make these both required fields because I want them to fill out both of those pieces of information if they wanna submit the form. And then if you wanted a preview, you could also execute just this step and it'll pull up a little box that'll show you what your form looks like so far. So we're done with that. We can clear out of here. I just clicked on the outside of it. And then we only have one more step. We're gonna come over here to the plus button and just type in Airtable. And now we're gonna do create a record. And now we're gonna learn about a very, very important part of n8n, which is APIs. An API is basically a link between n8n and some other software tool out there on the marketplace that you wanna be able to use and draw information from and send information to. There's a whole host of applications out there that you can connect to and automate things with, and they all require APIs. So it's very important to learn them. For Airtable, I've already connected mine, but just for sake of demonstration, I'm gonna pretend I didn't. We're gonna create a new credential, and you see here that n8n requests some specific information from your Airtable account. In particular, these right here, make sure you've enabled the following scopes of your token. These will come in handy here in just a second. Okay, so over in Airtable, once you've created your free account, create a database, come into that database, and then create just a very simple database. For me, I just created 2 columns, the name and the email. And then once you've gotten your database, this is kind of the tricky part, the new part for anyone familiar with Airtable. To get to the builder hub of Airtable, where you're gonna be connecting your API, getting your tokens or your access key, come down to the little button down here in the corner. It used to be up here. Right now, at the time of this recording, it's down here. Go to your account, and you want to find Builder Center or Creator Center, something like that. Click that. It'll take you here, and then you're gonna come down here to Personal Tokens or Personal Access Tokens, and then you're gonna create a new token. Give it some name, and then we're gonna add scope. You wanna add 3 scopes. If you remember from back in your n8n, these 3 specific scopes are the ones that we need. So we're gonna go read, write, and from the schema, I want it to be able to read. Create that token, and then all you need to do is copy this access key, and back in n8n, we're gonna paste it right here. That's all you need. Save it. This green means that's good, you did it right. And you're good to go. Okay, for the automation that we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be working with records, not entire databases, and we're gonna be creating new records in a database. We're not gonna be doing any of these other things that you can also do with Airtable. So these 2 defaults are fine. We're gonna specify what database inside our Airtable account we wanna work with, and which table from that database we wanna work with. So we're gonna choose, I only have the one that I've created and connected to my API, and the table that I want is the only one that I've made inside there. And then all you need to specify now is the values that you want to send from the n8n workflow over into Airtable to create those new records every time the workflow gets executed. We have name and email are the database table fields that it found inside our table in Airtable. And we want these to be automatically populated with the form submissions from our previous node. So if you see this button right here, it says execute previous nodes, we can go ahead and click that. Pulls up our form. Just give another example. Let's do Ernie at Gmail. And it should show us inside this step now, a little operation. From our form submission, we have some data. This data is going to be pulled over. What we want to do is we don't have to type any code. We just drag and drop. What is your name? Whatever customer put inside the field for what is your name, that's going to go in the name field. And then what's your best email? That's going to go into the email field. This code will make it dynamic. And now we're done. Let's give it a try. Execute workflow. Brings up our field. Bugs Bunny. bugs@gmail.com. We got here a workflow executed successfully. Let's come back and check our base and check it out, bugsbunny@gmail.com. So if everything works correctly and you're no longer in testing mode, you can go ahead and make it live by clicking this button up here. Once the workflow's been activated like that, the only thing you have to change is now, instead of the test URL that you would be pasting in places in order to put a form submission somewhere outside of n8n, instead of that one, you're going to want to come over to the production URL. This URL is going to be slightly different. This is the one that you want to copy and paste in order to find your new form.